What's up, guys? So this is my week 10 video blog. The project for this week was graffiti writing at Venice Beach. So I'll be talking about that, and I'll also be talking about our lecture from last week on Tuesday. We watched a little clip of the documentary Bomb It, but I took some time out of my day to rewatch the whole thing. It's pretty interesting. Found it on YouTube. Yeah, wasn't too hard. But I'll start with Venice first. Um, I went with two other guys in my class. Um, we drove up today on Easter Sunday. It was pretty fun. Kind of sucked finding parking, but eventually we got around that. Got to the spot. It was a nice sunny day. Got there about 2 o'clock. Got our permits. We actually got really lucky because when we got there, it was pretty crowded. And the guy said we were gonna have to wait like 4 or 5 hours at first, but luckily one spot on one of the cone walls opened up, so we all just picked a little section on that, and we all did our own thing. Um, so the one thing that I decided to do is because I've always tagged, but with pens and sharpies and notebooks and on like sketch paper, but I've never actually done it on an actual wall before. So this is my first time ever using spray paint, which is really fun actually. I actually want to go back as soon as possible to kind of redo it, or yeah, because I didn't really like my finished product, but what can you do? It was my first time. I tried my best. But to get back to what I actually did, um, I wrote my last name in a block lettering, and the reason why I did that is because, to me, it kind of relates to to the movie documentary Bomb It, where I believe it's I don't remember what country they were in. I want to say it was London when they were talking about you know the one thing that everyone has when they're born is their name, and that's something that's unique to you, something that no one else has. It's who you are. No one could take that from you. You know, regardless of how poor or rich you are. It's a non-material thing that it'll always be yours. No one can change it, or you could go and change your name, but I think you get the point. And so in the movie they talk about how people want to be remembered, saying, almost as saying like, I'm here, I exist. And that's it kind of touched me in a way that, because we obviously aren't going to be on this earth forever, so it's nice to be able to know for a couple of moments, however long my bomb or whatever stays up there, people will know that I did that, and regardless if they know who I am or not, they know my name's out there, and so that's really interesting to think about. Like I said, it relates to the movie. I know the guy was saying, I tagged, therefore I am, kind of saying, you know, um, I put my name out there as a way of showing that me as my own individual, exist in this world. Like I said, it was really cool, really interesting to think about. Um, the only thing that was kind of awkward when we went to Venice was, um, the cones have walls on the sides. The little mini walls. The two people I went with were writing on one side, and after they were done, there wasn't enough room, so I went to the other side to do my bomb. And I guess it's kind of common graffiti etiquette, I guess you could say, which I was kind of late to realize, but I started writing my name right over something that someone had just finished about like maybe 30 minutes or so prior to me starting, and got some I guess you could say, dirty looks. I apologize to the guy. Like I said, I've never done this before. Probably should have thought of that beforehand. But like I said, it was really crowded. It was hard to find spots. There's nothing really I can do about it. But other than that, had a really good experience. I took photos of some other stuff that I saw while I was there. It was really cool because I know Glenn was saying that Venice could possibly be the most diverse place in the world. When you when you think about it, when we watched that documentary, they were showing all the different types of graffiti styles from different countries. How like the guy who started Obey, how he does stencils, and how in Brazil the lettering is very different from the lettering in LA. Or you could go as simple as just the small simple tags from to huge bombs that people do. It's just crazy because you get all those different types of art styles, and literally you can find all those types in Venice. I took a few photos. I found a few stencils that were really stuck out to me. There was one like mural of the beach some guy did, which looked really, really, really cool. There was all different types of lettering, but the one stencil that did actually stick out to me a lot was it was a red one. It was a Disney. It was a Disney like Mickey Mouse like kind of logo, and underneath it it said disgrace with the Disney kind of font. And that's just really interesting to me because of the fact people always say Disney and like their hidden agendas, Illuminati type stuff. Kind of I guess you could say like uh, not skeptics, but people who believe in all that stuff. Um, so that was just kind of interesting to see, and found some other stencils of like penguins, which was really funny at first. But I guess they're kind of like an endangered species, so I could see why someone would want to stencil that. Um, but yeah, so the whole stencil thing was really cool. I actually might make one of my own, and maybe I'll post it up on my Tumblr next week if I have time. Um, but other than that, like I said, I had a really great time at Venice. There's a lot of cool things to see, a lot of cool people. Um, Bought a dream catcher. But yeah, so enough about that. To get to this week's lecture, like I said, I rewatched the film, which is really cool to watch it from the beginning because they talk about how graffiti, um, it's something that's always been part of human nature since the prehistoric ages. They say that the first stencil that was ever made was a man who put a hand on his wall and mixed different pigments in his mouth, and they would spit them at the wall. And you kind of get like this like stencil effect, I guess. Like if you were to go like this on the wall, and it kind of like uh, outlines your hand. That's just really cool to think about because, in other parts of the movie, you have these police officers and like book writers and authors talking about like the broken window effect, and how if you have a broken window and no one fixes it, people kind of look at that area as like untamed, or I guess you could say like unorganized, and so as in like no one cares about it, no one's controlling it. So that's why these same people use that broken window um, effect. They kind of relate that to graffiti, saying that like in New York when people were bombing on the trains, and eventually they try to like limit that, but they relate to all the crime in the area based off the graffiti, saying that when things are covered in all this writing, all these tags and bombs and icons, that people look at it as something that's run down, something that is neglected. And so I don't know if I completely agree with that. After hearing based off the fact that you know stencils and artwork have been you know that's been around forever. It always has been around, and I'm pretty sure it always will be around. It's just part of who we are as human beings. And so, just two different aspects, two different ways to think about the same situation, I guess you could say. Um, but other than that, the one main thing that I really wanted to talk about was the fact that culture, meaning when the movie talked about Brazil specifically, how they say Brazil is becoming nowadays more like a copy culture. They're taking everything from the United States and Europe, and they're kind of like trying to Americanize the people over there in Brazil. And the people there, they either have to conform and survive or they rebel. And it's just really interesting to think about because it brings up kind of this idea of, you know, uh, I guess you could say like consumerism and like marketing and advertising and what is considered going too far. And so, excuse me, like in the U.S., I guess I never really thought about it until watching the movie, but billboard signs are all around us, whether you notice it or not. We're constantly being force fed all this marketing to buy products. We don't ask for it, but yet it's there. And when they interviewed two of the artists, painters from Brazil, they talk about how if these big corporations can force feed us, marketing and advertisements, that's what's really, they see that as more of a, I guess, like a pitfall of society rather than graffiti or art. You know what I mean? Would you rather see, I guess the guy says, a big man in underwear on the side of a building advertising for Calvin Klein, or would you rather see, a nice, beautiful, vibrant color painting? Which one is more detrimental to society? Um, you know, which one infringes on your, I guess, your rights as a citizen more? Like I said, it's all opinions. Everyone's gonna have their own opinion on the same subject, that's like one of the main reasons why I like the documentary because when they move from country to country, no two people paint for the same reason. Everyone has their own perspective, everyone has their own background, everyone has their own story to tell, and so that's why you get these different types of block lettering, these different types of color schemes. You have one guy who paints in a sewer, because he was at a dark time in his life, and you have other people who, paint these very bright, vibrant colors in I believe it was Sao Paulo. Yeah, so it's just really interesting to think about, um, the difference between consumerism and graffiti. Because I know the movie also touches on the fact that what is considered graffiti when you start bringing it into the marketing realm. For example, like the company Obey and Mark Echo, they kind of use their graffiti skills and they took it to, like a marketing world, and now they're getting paid for it. And I know towards the end of the movie, they start talking about how a lot of people look down at them for that because graffiti is more about, I guess you could say, just expressing yourself for the sake of expressing yourself, not for money, not for worldly possessions, I guess would be the right term. But and I guess that, like I said, all these things tying together because that kind of ties into the same thing as force feeding advertisements into regards of art. So I could see why certain artists look down at others when they put out their art for profit, because I guess for some artists that's the one thing they're trying to fight against. They're trying to fight against these big corporations, saying that you know uh, they're it's almost like in defiance in a way. Um, but yeah, so just a lot of stuff to think about. really cool documentary. I already showed it to like 2 friends. It's really interesting to think about. Like I said, got my pictures on my Tumblr. Um, be looking for that stencil. Hopefully, I got it done by next week. And I think that's about it. Alright.